So without wasting our time, we can start now. So today we have two person, Maas and Dinan. Okay, so we can start with Maas first, I think.
Sir, do I share my screen?
No. I will share my screen.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so now we just see what you have done for your video presentation, and after the presentation, we will be asked for one question only, I think. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So you can see my screen right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we can start now.
Sir, we can't hear the audio. There is a switch. When you share the screen on the left side, there is a switch. We have to enable the audio. Sir, I did it yesterday when I shared my screen, right, sir? At the bottom, a tray appears, and on the left side of the tray, there is a switch in MSD which says enable audio.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Here. Where?
Uh, right next to the mic, the share button. When you have to unshare it, and when you share it again, you will see a tray at the bottom, and on the top left of that tray, there will be a button that says enable audio.
Okay.
By the introduction of big data. Yes, we can hear it, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mas.
Welcome, sir. Good morning, sir, and my fellow peers. Today I will be covering a review on recent trends in IoT and big data analytics. Let's begin. I will be starting off by the introduction of big data and the IoT devices. Big data refers to large, diverse sets of information that grows at ever-increasing rates. It encompasses the volume of information, the velocity or speed at which it is created and collected, and the variety of the data points being covered, known as the 3 V's of big data. More on that later. The Internet of Things. It refers to a system of interrelated internet-connected objects that are able to collect and transfer data over wireless network without human intervention. IoT past, present, and future. Number of active IoT devices now exceed 21.2 billion. It is estimated it will climb to 34.2 billion by the midway point of this decade. This growth is driven by consumers and the enterprise. Let's move on to the differences between the two. Let's start off with big data. As said, big data is all about huge volumes of data, either structured or unstructured. The data is so large that it remains incapable of processing via conventional data processing software or techniques. It is characterized by 3 key determinants known as the 3 V's of big data: volume, velocity, and variety. Let's move on to the Internet of Things. IoT extends connectivity from digital devices to non-internet physical devices that we use in our everyday lives. such as the appliances in our homes, automobiles, and other objects. All of them remain plugged to the internet, enabling seamless interconnectivity to collect and exchange data for real-time performance metrics, as well as remote monitoring and control. IoT Market Summit. Number of active IoT devices now exceed 21.2 billion. It is estimated it will climb to 34.2 billion by the midway point of this decade. This growth is driven by consumer and the enterprise. The global IoT market is expected to grow from $170.57 billion to $561.04 billion by 2022. Therefore, the current market view is extremely positive for IoT devices. Global IoT market is estimated to grow to over 1.5 billion by 2025. Let's dive in depth of big data. Volume of big data. The volume of big data refers to the size of the data sets that need to be analyzed and processed, which are now frequently larger than terabytes and petabytes. Velocity of big data refers to the speed with which data is generated. High velocity data is generated with such a pace that it requires distinct distributed processing techniques. Big data deals with analyzing large complex data sets of different types. Big data analytics aid businesses run efficiently and effectively by providing them assistance in making critical business decisions. The challenges. As of now, there are 4 major challenges posed by big data. Handling large amount of data, real-time processing of such large sets of big data, which can be very complex, data security, which has always been the issue and will be the issue in the future as well, and shortage of skilled people. The future of big data. Machine learning would play a major role in the enterprise world. Privacy and users' rights over their data would increase, thus making it difficult to collect data in large amounts. The demand for data scientists would increase. Big data will get replaced by fast and actionable data. Conclusion. As the number of IoT devices increase over time, so will data generated. As a result, this will pose a challenge in parallel and distributed computing platforms for developing a storage system to store such large data sets. As the number of IoT devices increase over time, so will the data generated. As a result, this will pose a challenge for parallel and distributed computing platforms for developing a storage system to store such large data sets. Big data would continue to make its impact in the enterprise world. However, with the ever-growing concern of the governments and consumers on privacy and confidentiality of user-generated data, it could become difficult to acquire data, thus limiting the impact of big data. Now, what big data can provide the enterprise world? Cost optimization. It will improve efficiency, foster competitive pricing, boost sales and retain customer loyalty, innovation as it paves the way, focus on the local environment, control and monitor online reputation. The setbacks. Traditional storage can cost a lot of money to store big data, violation of personal privacy, and lastly, data breach. With that, I would conclude my presentation. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation, Mas. All right, I have one question, Mas.
Yes, sir.
Okay, as you can see here, okay, IoT device past, present, and future. So this data you found from where? From the journal article or from the internet?
From the internet, sir.
From the internet. Okay, can you share the link of this data, IoT device past, present, and future? Okay, can share to my WhatsApp the link of the reference that you found this IoT device past, present, and future. Can?
Yes, sir, I can. Just a moment, yes, sir.
No problem. Hold on. I have a next question.
Okay.
Okay, for this part, IoT market sentiment. Also, this one you found from internet also?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, please send me the link of this reference. Okay.
Sir.
All right. So thank you very much for your presentation. So now we move to the next presentation. So now we have Shivang Sahara. Okay. So we move to Dinan. Okay, Dinan, can?
Can, sir.
Hello sir, so today we are going to see about the presentation of recent trends IoT and big data analytics review. So this is my slide. First, let's start. Recent trends IoT and big data analytics review. This is my outline. This outline comes
Sir, we can't hear the audio.
with this device connection. Hello sir, so today we are going to see about the presentation of recent trends IoT and big data analytics review. So this is my slide. First, let's start. Recent trends IoT and big data analytics review. This is my outline. This outline comes 6 to 7 different phases, which is device connection, data sensing.
Can you hear?
No, sir.
Hello, sir. So today we are going to see about the presentation of recent trends IoT and big data analytics review.
Can you hear?
Sir, it's very soft, the audio, not loud enough.
Not enough, huh? Okay, I think the volume is already maximum.
So this is my slide. First, let's start. Recent trends IoT and big data analytics review. This is my outline. This outline comes 6 to 7 different phases, which is device connection, data sensing.
I think you need to use the headphone or earphone to hear very clearly.
Okay, sir.
Communication, data analytics, data value, and human value, and also the last part is conclusion. So the Internet of Things, which is IoT in a general phase, IoT brings the power together of internet data processing and analytics to the real world of physics objects. For consumer, this means the interactive with global information network without the intermediary of key point. As I can show you, these are what is based on now current trends of IoT, which is ongoing globally. So the next is surface of big data. Surface of big data comes in two parts mainly. One is the storage and one is the stakeholders. At the storage part, big data in term that describes the larger volume of data, both constructed and unconstructed. Next is stakeholder. The stakeholder is big data becomes a common at these days why the company outperform their first. In the most industry existing competitors and new alike will use the strategy in resulting for an analyzed data to a complete innovative structured value. This is the surface of big data. So as you can see, this is the table for big data and the latest trend of big data, which is the relationship between the IoT and the big data. As you can see how the IoT works as a bridge to together with the big data at this point. This is the characteristics of big data, which has a 5V: volume, variety, value, velocity, and veracity. Okay, this is big data analytics. Big data analytics applications allow data analysts, data scientists, predictive modeler, statistician, and other analysis professionals to analyze the growing volume of structure transitional data, plus the other forms of data that often untapped by conventional analytics program. This includes the mix of semi-structured and unstructured data. For example, internet clicks, streaming data, web server, logs, social media content, text, and moreover. Let's see the next slide. Use cases. Use cases comes in mainly in 6 cases, which is the smart metering. For example, natural gas we can track. And next is smart transportation. Smart transportation includes several technology from a basic management system such as car navigation, traffic signal control system, and container management system. Next is the uh, sorry. Next is smart agriculture. Then smart grid database allow analyze those plate in profit more. Next, the smart traffic system. Intelligent transportation relies on heavy data collection analysis. Once the system is built, recollecting and analyze it. Next, next is the open challenges and future direction towards big data. Let's go to privacy. Privacy is big data security and security and privacy challenges and traditional recommended solution. Big data can face many big piracy issue towards the customer if the customer data if they don't maintain it up to date, and also the leakage of data of the customers could happen if there was any careless mistake during this process. So next is the data mining. Data mining is a process used by company to draw a data into a useful information by using a software look at pattern and large batches of data. Business can be learned more about the customer, develop efficiency marketing strategy, increase the sales and also decrease. I would like to mainly improvise these 2 points because the next 2 points is visualization. Visualization is what we see the main points. Visualization, what's the future direction big data is going to take over, and integration is how how this big data and IoT is going to take the integration section for future direction, and also what kind of open challenges they're going to face on. The conclusion is software is software design is implement technique can be very useful for the current trend which is being set by a current software design at the new era of technology. The speed with that equipment achievement square measure happening is among extra humble critical improvement in the programming content. So that is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dinan, for your presentation. Right, Dinan, I have one question.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Based on these open challenges and future direction. Okay, so my question is, what is your opinion? Okay, what is your opinion? How do you see the issue of the visualization of big data in the current day? What is your opinion?
Based on the visualization, I think the visualization is like how this big data and IoT is in a very bright place right now, and where it will bring the normal humanity to the future, and what kind of new technology will be implemented based on this big data and IoT, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you for your answer. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so far we have only Sivaranjini is not here. Okay, right. So next we move on to Shivang. Hi Shivang, are you there?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good morning to all. So today I'll be doing my presentation on the overview of IoT and big data analytics. Okay, so to start off, this will be my outline, and these will be the topics that we'll be covering in my presentations. As you can see, there's IoT and big data, then big data analytics, relationship between IoT and big data analytics, the use cases or like the applications of big data, open challenges and future direction, and finally my conclusion. Okay, to start off, okay, so with IoT, as we know, is the Internet of Things. So it's basically the new field in the world of telecommunication. It has like a very simple concept, which has many things that are around like us, like for example, sensors, actuators, radio frequency identifications, tags, mobile phones, etc., that try to like reach out to their neighbors with some sort of like unique addressing system. So the main goal and to get of this idea is to have some impact on several people and their devices. And IoT is also meant for creating the opportunities for us to like generate the huge amount of data that this can lead to like a noticeable revenue, but it is also not enough. So to achieve this goal, the company should like have proper infrastructure so that they can collect, manage, and analyze the data from the sensors. Okay, so the surface of big data. Okay, so before I get into that, so the big data is basically, as we know, is a term that describes like the large amount of volume of data, both like structured and unstructured. And also it is used in businesses on a day-to-day basis, but it's also not the amount of data that's important, but it's also like what organizations do with the data that matters the most, because big data can also like be analyzed to for insights that like lead to better decisions and strategic business moves. And also from my understanding that big data can also help organizations create like new growth opportunities and entirely new categories for companies that can combine and analyze industry data. Okay, so getting into the characteristics of big data. So as we know, uh, it's mentioned here in the slides. There's five. So there's volume, which refers to the huge amount of data; variety, which refers to like the different formats of data from the various sources; value, extract useful data; velocity, high speed of accumulation of data; veracity, inconsistencies, and uncertainty in data. So I'll just give a brief explanation for all. So volume basically refers to the huge amount of data that will be created every second by cameras, mobile phones, digital devices, etc. So to like handle such amount of data, we need to like use frameworks like, for example, Hadoop or only Facebook like buttons for 350 million daily posts can also be created. Huge amounts that also needs big data. The next is variety. So the data variety basically refers to like the data nowadays are generated in different platforms with different formats. For example, music files, camera raw files, the data from a financial company, and many other ways of generating data will make this field difficult to handle. The next is veracity. So veracity refers to like the amount of data that is called veracity. So this data comes from like different sources, and raw data itself can be misleading, so that this process can validate the data that is really important. The next is value. So we can store, load, analyze, and a data set when it is valuable, because insights from the data can generate money for us. Then next is the velocity. So the velocity is like the demanded data should be provided on time so that it can be valuable for the company. Velocity is like one of the most important aspects of big data. So the next is I'll be explaining the relationship between IoT and big data. So as we know, okay, so big data and IoT, so it's used for like making better decisions. That was the key reason that big data merged with IoT concept, because it will help the analysis for better outputs using the outputs for from connected things. Then this huge amount of data needs like recent technologies to store it. So also we have to like access it to fast analysis with large queries to help like organizations to get like rapid insights and make decisions faster connecting with other devices. Okay, so in big data structures, so as we can see, here's a diagram of the latest trend of big data. So there's like a logical need for big data to be involved in this scenario because to help IoT for its applications. So it means that data is generated by devices, as you can see, which is growing faster. So there's a need for better application development used in big data area. Besides better technologies to help increase the speed of research in IoT areas. So like big data analytics also refers methods can also be categorized under clustering also association rules, minings, and like predictions and classification categories. So the latest trends of big data analytics, it is like so IoT can also be created for opportunity for us to generate huge amount of data that this can lead to like a noticeable revenue, but it is not enough. So to achieve this goal, like these companies should like have more proper infrastructure to so that they can collect, manage, and analyze data from sensors. So it is like vital for to have proper attention to the problem of collecting data with high speed and trustable integration. So proper like integration will also give like higher hand to these companies so that they can collect, analyze data, which can result in like valuable insights. Okay, so now here are some list of big data analytics, existing analytic systems, real-time analytics systems, then memory level analytic systems, and BI analytics. So I'll just like give a few like I'll just give it a brief explanation. So basically, existing like analytic systems is like the requirements of IoT resulted using different analytic systems. Real-time analytics is basically like collecting the data from sensors constantly, which is called real-time analytics. So in these methods, we should like collect data rapidly from sensors, and it is needed to have efficient high speed to analyze data very fast. So then offline analytics is basically mentioned above the architecture. So which basically like refers to, for example, many companies like Hadoop ecosystems to do like offline file conversions. So then memory level analytics is like the cluster size limit can be applied to this type of analytics. The real-time analytics are very sensitive about this data, and this is why we should use memory level analytics. Then BI analytics is basically like can support data with TB sizes. So these kind of analytics can also help get a lot of useful insights with a flood of data, and they can also help businesses grow. So some open challenges and future directions would be like privacy, data mining, visualization, integration. So like these are some open challenges. Like for example, privacy refers to like how much data is being accumulated like in private companies, or in data mining used for data mining. Visualization is also like how much data is being used in a way to get an overview of the thing of the company's production, or how much it is being used to benefit, and integration. So okay, so for my conclusion, basically, as I've explained here, so the network or internet had a huge impact on our lives because for the past few decades and virtual communication between people increased. So in this era, like the new concept called IoT is also added to a new angle to these areas by enabling the devices to communicate with each other to like achieve anytime, anywhere, and any media, anything, any communication. So like the IoT devices need also like a very powerful platform to like analyze the data as they're generating a huge amount of data. So basically from my conclusion, I'm trying to conclude that we conclude this topic. It should be mentioned in the future that the topic about real-time analysis will be very interesting, and many researchers will work on this domain. So as we know, like big data even till today is also growing till now, because every day every day the data is being like upgraded, or there's like new features or applications being installed with the technology industry moving fast and rapidly growing. And also, like, big data is the concept that comes to the picture to achieve this goal, because we talk about the concept of IoT and big data. So we like also, it also gives like for us, for all the saying young minds and the saying people out there, an overview of how the big data and IoT has helped also, has helped us like grow as a person, and the technology that we're using around us, and has rapidly being increased and also changed even till now. So therefore, I conclude my presentation on the overview of big data, and hope you enjoy my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Shubham. All right, Shubham, I have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my question is, based on your opinion, what is the benefit from the business intelligent analytics to address the application?
So okay, so like big data is basically like used in businesses, for example, like in applications that like need more like fast, rapid like upgrades, and also like in companies. So for example, like for example, my presentation, I mentioned Hadoop or Facebook because they usually use like social medias connected to like Facebook, which is also needed in businesses. So for example, when we're like posting something in like our feeds or posts, big data is like being used.
Okay, thank you very much. So next we move to Sahara. Hello, Sahara.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, good morning. All right.
Recent trends in IoT and big data analytics, a review. In this presentation, I'll be talking about introduction to Internet of Things, introduction to big data, characteristics of big data analytics, relationship between IoT and big data analytics, use cases or applications, open challenges and future directions. And at the end, I'll be giving an overall conclusion of this presentation. So IoT is described as a network of physical objects equipped with intelligence. These objects are embedded with sensor softwares and other technology that helps in connecting and exchanging data between different devices. The things around us like actuators, sensors, radio frequency identification tags, and mobile phones are some examples of IoT ecosystem. So this is one of the examples of IoT ecosystem. IoT system. At first, it collects data through different IoT devices such as sensors, antennas, and microcontroller. Then it transfers data using IoT hub and IoT gateway. So after the transfer is done, it analyzes the data using smartphones, human machines. It also performs analytics of business applications such as customer relationship management, ERP. So therefore, it shares data to other devices in order for it to be analyzed. And in IoT, most of the work is done without human intervention. Big data. Big data refers to the large amount of digital databases that cannot be used or stored using conventional databases or cannot be handled by traditional methods. So the data collected can be structured as well as unstructured. So big data can be defined mostly by its characteristics, which are 5 V's of big data. The 5 V's are volume, variety, veracity, value, and velocity. Volume means the amount of data. A lot of data is collected these days from different mediums or sources. Even a single application or platform such as Facebook or Instagram collects billions of data in a single day. Variety. When you are collecting data from various sources, the formats of the data are also different. Some data can be music files, some can be videos, some can be PDFs, or some can be legal documents or financial documents, etc. Veracity. Veracity means inconsistency or uncertainty in the data. Data comes from different sources, and the raw data itself can be misleading. So the process to validate the data is very important. Value. Um, the data that we store, analyze, must give some meaning or must have a value. If it doesn't have any useful information, then there is no point of wasting your time or cost in extracting or collecting those data. Velocity. The demanded data should be provided on time so that it can be valuable for the company. It also defines about like how at what speed the data is collected or how much data is collected per minute, per year, or per week. Big data analytics. All the data is collected are to be analyzed in order to gain insight into a situation, allowing for decisions to be made faster and more accurately. This is called big data analytics and is being used by many organizations around the world in order to make better and effective decisions for the company. For the big data analytics, it should have a proper infrastructures which can handle the data well and can also analyze the data well so that the very meaningful informations from the data can be collected. So there are four existing analytical systems, which is real-time analytics, offline analytics, memory level analytics, business intelligence analytics. Real-time analytics, collecting data from the sensors constantly is called real-time analytics. In this method, we should collect the data rapidly from the sensors, and it is needed to have an effective and high-speed system to analyze the data very fast. The offline analytics uh, does not need very quick response to the data that are being collected. So we can also see some companies using Hadoop ecosystem in order to do offline file conversion. Memory level analytics. The cluster size limit can be applied to this kind of analytics. Um, Real-time analytics are very sensitive about the data, so that's why we should use memory level analytics for them. Business intelligence analytics. In this analytics, it can support very large sizes of data, maybe till terabytes of data. And it can be very useful for businesses because in businesses, the data collected are very huge. They collect data about products as well as their customers. So business intelligence analytics can be very useful for businesses in order to get very useful insights about what is happening in the company or what the customer wants or needs. Relationship between IoT and big data. When IoT and big data are used together, it helps in making better decisions. It also helps to analyze the data better and get important outputs from the connected things. Information from big data helps in development of new and better applications. And the same applications or technologies can be used by IoT in order to increase its speed of research. Use cases. So I'll be talking about four use cases of IoT and big data. The first one is smart metering. It is an IoT application that generates a huge amount of data from resources such as tank levels, smart grids, water flows, and it takes a lot of time to store and process this kind of data. Smart transportation. RFID is used to monitor and analyze the vehicles, and it also helps in traffic congestion management. So it collects data from, it also gets data from satellites in order to manage routes for vehicles. Smart supply chain. The factories that have IoT enabled can change the settings of a device or the program of a manufacturing line easily in order to optimize the build. Next one is smart agriculture. Some sensors are used by farmers or people who are involved in agriculture. So these sensors are used on the ground, and it helps you to collect data about different information that are required in planting. So there are challenges of IoT and big data. The first one is privacy. Uh, there are a lot of data being involved in big data. So privacy concerns are vital because there is huge risk involving users' personal information. in IoT and big data. Service legal agreements are required by users so that they feel safe about how their personal data is being used by the companies. And for future direction, the developers should update to latest algorithms so that they can use the applications in newer technologies rather than old ones, because in newer technology the security systems are also made better compared to old ones. Data mining. Data mining is used for feeding patterns and description needed for data generation. The problem increases when data sets are huge in terms of how clean the data are, and the possibilities of abnormalities increases too. So for that, proper infrastructures are required in order to improve the data mining process. For conclusion, in this whole presentation, we discussed about what big data and IoT are. And we also found out there are still problems involving big data and IoT, even though it's used by a lot of people or businesses. And it can be improved by providing better security and also providing better infrastructure for data mining. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Sahara. All right, Sahara, I have two questions for you. Okay, number one, okay, from your observation, what are the current and future trend in hardware that can help us in addressing the massive data set?
Sorry, sir.
Okay, I repeat again. From your observation, what are the current and future trends in hardware that can help us in addressing the massive data set?
So in hardware, so I think um the processor should be of high speed, because in order to process a lot of data, the processing speed should be really fast and maybe done simultaneously. Uh, yeah, I think that's it. And also like the storage, it should be, since the data are increasing day by day. I think the storage capacity should also be increased accordingly. Yes, I think that's the two things.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next question. Okay, based on your presentation previously, you said that we need to use the memory analytic for the real-time analytic application. So why we need to use the memory analytic?
Um. So wait.
You can say
So
anything. It's
because
okay.
for sorry, sir.
You can say anything. Okay, you can say.
Yeah. So because for real time analytics also, the memory should be strong, because you are doing it in real time, so a lot of data would be coming in.
Mhm.
So like it needs to hold a lot of data at the um what do you say, like at that particular time. So the memory should be really high, and the so that like the processing can be done faster.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Okay, so next we move on to Sivaranjini. So Sivaranjini is not here. Okay, never mind. All right.
So, hello, sir. Yeah. So, this is my project. The topic of my project is recent trends in IoT and big data analytics. And yeah, the table of contains it contains the about what is big IoT and what is big data, about something related to big data analytics, relationship between the IoT and big data analytics, and then big data use cases, and then the open challenges and future directions. So first of all, about IoT, Internet of Things. So IoT is a new field in this world of telecommunication, and it is a very simple concept in which many things are around us, like actuator, sensors, RFID, which means radio frequency identification, and mobile phones. And it helps us to reach out to their neighbors with some unique addressing system. The main goal and the get of this idea to have some impact on several people via their devices, and a business will see this benefit from different angle like management, logistic, business automation, industrial manufacturing, intelligent transportation, and peoples and goods. So it's about the process, how IoT works. First of all, IoT devices gather data and send it through the internet for processing. And then secondly, the data is analyzed and centrally. And lastly, the instruction based on the analysis are returned to the device. Back to this. So then go for the introduction about big data. So it is a collection of data that is a huge in volume, and it is a data of such large scale and complexity, and that can be not be easily stored or handled by any conventional data processing tools. So there is no official definition for big data. So these five V's are considered as a big data definition. So first of all, we give for the velocity. It is a speed at which data is emanating and changes are occurring between the diverse data sets. Secondly, the volume. It is refers to the sheer volume of data being generated every seconds. Then thirdly, variety. You can use structured as well as unstructured data. And veracity, it is data reliability and trust, verifying and validating the data. Lastly, value. It is having access to big data is all well and good, but that's only useful if we can turn it into a value. Uh, and then big data analytics interaction. So IoT created the opportunity for us to generate a huge amount of data, and this can lead us to noticeable revenue, but it is not enough to achieve this goal. Companies should have a proper infrastructure so they can collect and manage, analyze the data from the sensors. And it is vital to have proper attention to the problem of collecting data with a high speed and trustable integration. So we go for the existing analytical system. First of all, the real-time analytics. So it is a collecting data from the sensors constantly is called real-time analytics. And in this method, we should collect the data rapidly from the sensors, and it is needed to have an efficient and high-speed system to analyze the data very fast. In real-time analytics architecture, uh, for a proper example, we can take the green plum and HANA. Then the offline analytics. So it offline analytics. For example, we can many companies use Hadoop ecosystem to do the offline file conversation. And for example, the script example architecture of offline analytics, and we go for the memory level analytics. So the cluster size limit can be applied to this type of analytics, and real-time analytics are very sensitive about the data, and that's why we should use memory level analytics for them, and MongoDB can be also considered as an example for this. Business intelligence analytics. So bioanalytics can support data with TB sizes, and this kind of analytics can help to get a lot of useful insight from the flood of data, and they can help business to expand. So the relationship between the IoT and big data. So making a better decision was a key of reason for the big data merge with the IoT concept, because it will help the analysis for better output using the data from connected things. So secondly, this huge amount of data needs many recent technology to store it. And the better technology can help to increase the speed of research in IoT area. There's no logical need for big data to be involved in this scenario to help IoT for its application. It means like data generated by devices growing faster, so there is no need for better application development in the big data area. And the use cases. So first of all, the smart metering. It is a use case for the IoT application that generates a huge amount of data from different sources like tank level, smart grid, water flows, and etc., which will take a lot of time to store and process the data. And this device will meter the usage of electricity between the controller and the meter. And secondly, the smart transportation. This concept is utility for the smart city concept, and it is the old transportation system are disrupted by rain and fog, many other sources, and they were based on image processing, and that's why they are fragile. And RFID to monitor and analyze the vehicle based beside the traffic congestion management can be achieved using the technology. Then we go for the smart supply chain, and since things in IoT are always enabled and they are switched on, the whole system can have a better repair and service experience. And factories that have IoT enabled can change the settings of device or program of manufacturing line easily to optimize the build. And smart architecture, it is a very nice benefit of using the data analytics in IoT. The sensor planted in the ground will share information about the soil's moisture level, the trunk diameter for the plants, and the condition of the microclimate, so on. And we go for the open challenges and future direction. And first of all, the privacy. Its need for some prime solid service level agreement, which is called SLA, is a must. And consider the latest algorithm, ensure the privacy and lower the risk of the data leaks. And data mining, it's high speed read and write data access, which various types of data makes challenging for data mining. And if the data is really huge, clean of data and abnormalities increases. Conclusion. So the use cases are discussed in this reason. IoT and big data analytics developments are concepts. The prospects in this field are concentrated, and new direction for these subjects are outlined. Next, the existing problems and areas were presented, thereby facilitating the use of IoT in our everyday lives. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Sibaranjini. Alright, so what to say? So far, I satisfied with your work. Okay, very good and very competent, I think. So I hope you can get some of the experiences. Okay, how to, especially how to present. Okay, the scientific papers, and also you have the experience that your paper has been rejected. Right, so it's okay for the publication. I will settle for that. And then next, all the best for your final exam. Those who have any question or anything to ask about the final exam, you can text me, okay, using the WhatsApp, or you can call me, doesn't matter. Right. So before we leave our class, so do you have any question?
Sir, is this our last class?
Yes, exactly. This is our last class. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Sir, so you covered previously exam tips, so we can just refer to that, right, sir?
Okay, by next week. Next week on Monday, I will discuss for the question. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, next question. No question?
No questions.
No, sir.
All right. So thanks for your coming today and all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Thank you, sir.